So one Sunday afternoon I got up and put this stub axle and it rolled and I didn't have shoes on. I fell on my foot and it wasn't too bad then, but the next day it was killing me because I'm a diabetic and my sugar was high too. So they had to spend a few weeks to try and bring the sugar down. Yeah, they told me that the apology was on and everybody was all excited. And yeah, I saw it on the TV at the hospital there, and it brought tears to my eyes too, because I started thinking about my grandfather, George Bowen, when he was brought up from Proserpine, only about 12 years old, and that was in 1903. And my grandmother, my mum's mum, she was brought from Chile across, and some of them went to, I think, Karanda and Yarrabah, and she was brought up to Hopewell. Yeah. Yeah, I thought about these old people, how they sort of, felt. My granddad always spoke about how he was brought up here and how some of them tried to run back to Proserpine, go back to Proserpine, only got far as Cooktown. And my grandmother, she hardly spoke about it, only now and again, when she felt sort of comfortable. Yeah. To hear it from a top person, top man in Australia, say sorry, well, that meant a lot to our people. It meant a lot to me too, because I've had my non-Indigenous co-workers that we used to work out in the station with. Well, they rang me up and said, Des, look, we're there for you. And but I knew they were there all the time,
The original reconciliation took place down here. Captain Cook and his blokes were stuck here for a month or so. They went out and found a whole lot of turtles and brought them back, and the locals were upset that they weren't given any, so there was a little bit of a skirmish and carry on. And after that they then went back to a rock down behind the bakery, the big flat rock called Reconciliation Rock, we're going to call it. Got together and parleyed, and it was all sweet after that, so there was just an understanding sort of thing. So we reckon reconciliation started here. You can't make big things of the interracial idea up here, because it's not, there's no friction. It's I wouldn't say seamless, but there's just a great understanding. I also have in my past owned and run Alamanda Inn, which is a little guest house motel, and we used to get a lot of Aboriginal groups coming and staying with us too. And I've had Aboriginal people from up on the Cape come up to me and saying, geez, Peter, you've got good Murrays around here. So it's just this understanding. If you walk downtown now, if you go and sit in the West Coast Hotel and sit next to an Indigenous person, they'll turn around and say, how are you going? And you can have a yarn with them for as long as you like. And it's, it's just, I think, a real special environment we've got here. Look, on that day there was nothing special happening. And I guess that's the attitude and the approach that we take in Cooktown and Cook Shire to the whole question of living together. Cooktown's a unique place. It's the actual reconciliation side of things. We try not to use the reconciliation word because we don't feel there's a need for it in Cooktown and Cook Shire. We've got Hapevale out there, we've got Wujal down there. Cook Shire takes up 80% of Cape York. So as such, we interface with probably a dozen Aboriginal communities and Aboriginal shires. and we've got a good working relationship just based on necessity, based on pragmatism. So as far as day-to-day life goes, I've lived in country Western Australia, country New South Wales, country Queensland, Papua New Guinea for 8 years. Cooktown's got the best black-white interface of anywhere I've ever been. And it's a strength that we've got and it's something that we're building on. So when it came to days of apology or that related stuff, we just don't feel it's necessary. I mean, obviously there's ramifications for a lot of people out there who are hurting, but from my position as I was a councillor then and as mayor now, it's nothing that we had to hold up and wave around, because it's something that we practice on a day-to-day basis.
I was home on my own. Yes, and I thought, I hope everybody's out there celebrating. And they interviewed me and I said, oh, well, it was a strategic command to take the half-caste children away and confine them. It was, I wrote a poem and I put, it was the shame of the day, not admitting, trying to hide the fact that we were half-caste Aboriginal children. The apology was a very important part in Prime Minister Kevin Rudd's life, because he took a step in the direction no other Prime Minister was ever going to do. Prime Ministers before him thought probably the same way I did. There's no need to say sorry, we did it and that's it, I thought myself it was too late for my mother to hear it, but I don't think it would have made any difference. We grew up in fear of our mother getting taken away. We were told, Dad used to say, look, if anybody pulls you up, tell them I've got my exemption card. He got that in 1938. And tell them to come and see me. He said, that's not stopping them from taking you and coming back and telling us we've got your daughter or son. I had three brothers as well. So we grew up knowing that, living in fear of Mum getting stolen away again, because she didn't have a police number, because she wasn't recorded. So she was an alien, and in the 70s when she tried to get a pension, she couldn't get one. My sister and brother-in-law, he worked all his life, so he used to support Mum. And my sister used to recognise people by their feet. And when she spotted this old fellow in Malanda one day, and she looked down at his feet, she said, oh, that looks like Granddad's foot. And she spoke to him and found out that was his brother. And so she said, oh, when I go down for holidays, I'll take you home with me. So after all those years, 24, 48 years, that he did end up meeting his brother.
My name's Frankie Deemal. I'm a Cook man from here in Hopevale. My clan is Titar, which is down at the coast there, so one of the clans part of the Cook Nation, yeah. We organised a do-over in the PCYC. We had a lot of people who were members of the Stolen Generation, obviously children of members of the Stolen Generation, grandchildren. We had the TV there, we had people speaking, so all in all it was a good day. I'm not one of those who disagree with the symbolism. I think symbolism is good because it gives people hope. It is, sure, people can be cynical and say, yeah, but what's it, but I think it is an important first step. There is nowhere in the country where you have had a whole community removed. And from 1942 to 1950, the whole of the Cook people were moved to Woorabinda, the Aboriginal community west of Rockhampton. And I think the likelihood of people returning to what is present-day Hopevale was very, very minimal. It was just the agitation of many of our older people who continually agitated against the government and the church to be brought back to our own country. And this years of agitation eventually bore fruit and came back to this community. And I think it is important for many new people to this community to understand that this community is not set up just because of somebody's benevolence. It is set up, and then we're here because many of our old people refuse to let the dream die of one day coming back to this country. So there is obviously a long way to go, but we seem to be advancing better. I don't think there is any Aboriginal family who is not affected by the kind of stolen generation matters we speak about, you know.